Great morning. Great morning. Great morning. Okay. How are you doing to our replay viewers? Great morning to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And depending upon what time you are hanging out with us, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, as I always say. What's up to our live viewers? I see y'all. How y'all feeling today? I love it. I love it. I am definitely live, in color, ready to go. How was everybody's weekend? If I got moms out there right now, I pray you had the most beautiful Mother's Day ever. I see y'all popping on. What's going on, Eugenia? How are you this morning? Hey, sis. What's up, love? All right. So, happy day after Mother's Day. Like I said, I pray you guys had the most beautiful, amazing Mother's Day, getting celebrated by your families, by the kiddos, by the amazing men, but just by everybody, you know, in your life, celebrating what you contribute to the family as part of that amazing foundation. So let's dig into today, y'all. I've been up for a little while. I've been reading over this in some detail, and I had to go back through some things and read it again. So, and to recap, last week was the first week. We did our first 5 secrets. And y'all, last week was really good to me. There's so much, you know what the challenge is with a book like this? There's so much juice in it, so much good stuff, that it's almost like you want to just spend a month on each secret, because you don't want it to go, you don't want to go in and go right out. You know what I mean? You want to hang on to it because there's so much good meat in there. I agree with you, Tanisha. I agree. This chapter was so good. It's really good to remind us that we don't get to work in silos. Great morning, Tasha. Great morning, great morning. So yeah, it's really good to remind us that we don't work in silos. We don't get to do everything alone. So this is a really good chapter. For those of you who are contemplating, should I pick this book up or should I just listen to everything that they say? Let me tell you. Grab the book. Definitely get the book. Why is the book so good? Why is it so important? Because see, when you read this, it's really good to read it first before we hop on here and do the video. And the reason it's good to read it first is because you'll have your own personal revelations. And then you get another perspective. And then it's like, oh, okay. And then when you put those together, there's power in what develops from what you took from the chapter. Then as we're reviewing the chapter together, and then, you know, you can kind of look at some things again, because I'm getting more than I got even the first time that I read the book. This is only the second time. And this is one of those books that you can read multiple times and really get something new every single time. Every single time. Because I don't know if it's possible to retain all 40 secrets. But we are officially on secret number 6. So let's go ahead and pray. I'm just looking back over these first 5 secrets like, man, this is so good. I remember being really impacted the first time. This time is no different. So let's go ahead and pray. Let's get our day going. Great morning, Heavenly Father. Thank you so much for allowing us to see another day. Today is officially like the second Monday in May, I believe, second or third Monday. And God, you allowed us to see another Monday in 2021, and we don't take that for granted. So Father God, this morning, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing us to rise and wake and breathe more of your precious air. Thank you for allowing everything in our bodies to function at maximum capacity. Thank you so much for allowing us to spend some more hours with family. Like, we don't even take this next breath or the last one for granted. We really want to say thank you. Today is the day that you have made. We choose, God, to rejoice and be glad in it. And so this morning, God, we just come to say thank you. We come to ask you, as we always do, to illuminate whatever it is that you want us to see in this chapter, whatever it is you have for us to learn. We know we are all at different stages in our journey of entrepreneurship, Father, but we also understand that you are doing a work in each and every one of us. We understand that you are no respecter of persons, but that as we come here together every single day, as 2 or more gathered with you, we know that you are in the midst. And so we thank you for being so true to your word, being so faithful, being so just. And God, today, before we take a step further, we want to thank you for your grace and thank you for your mercy. Thank you for that unmerited favor that you give. And thank you for not punishing us in the midst of the things that we should have been punished for. And so this morning, God, we get another chance to get it right. Impart your wisdom in us and allow us to be a blessing on this day. And we thank you and we praise you in advance for everything that you've done for us, but for everything that you have yet to do, that we have yet to experience in the natural. In Jesus' name we pray, amen Great morning, Latrinda. What's up, beautiful? I see you popped in the room. Hey, queen. All right. So, Tanisha is feeling me on this one. She said, yes, I truly have more clarity this second time around. That is because, y'all, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Some of these things we weren't prepared for the last time. And so we are 2 years more mature in our entrepreneurial journey and in our relationship with God. So I expect this to be an amazing couple of months reading this book. So we are on secret number 6, you guys. We are on secret number 6. Welcome to day 6 or secret 6 of the business secrets of the Bible. And this secret is all about the fact that everything important and joyful you have achieved has been in partnership with at least one other person. Everything. You guys, everything. You know how we say, don't say always, don't say never. Yes, everything, always, never without, always with. Everything important and joyful you have achieved has been in partnership with at least one other person. And you can actually push really hard to try to think, no, there's got to be something that I've done that did not include another person. But it's impossible, which is amazing that God made us so connected with one another. This chapter reminded me of the day that I talked about collaboration, connection, and someone being a client or a customer. It reminded me of that because people are all valuable. And so this chapter reminds us how valuable people truly are. And that even though sometimes we get sick of people, somebody upsets us, we decide we just want to go live in a section of the planet alone without any neighbors, without anybody in our town. We'll drive into town if we want to see you. Oh, that's just me. I'm just saying. So, this chapter reminds us that we cannot achieve any of what we want, any of what we are looking for alone. Like, it is just not possible. Okay. So he wants us to understand this is just so good and so necessary for someone like me who people see very much as a people person. People see me very much as a people person, but a lot of people don't understand that I could sit in this house and I think a lot of people don't realize that they could do that. I could sit in this house and have very limited interaction with people and feel okay. And a lot of the times I need to retreat in order to refuel. Okay. So I can give a lot more if I can retreat and refuel. All right. So, and this last year has really pushed this a lot, because the pandemic that we've been in has forced a lot of us to be in the house. Yet the other thing that we found out is that it's more challenging also. It's challenging because for someone like myself, you'll be in the house. You'll not even notice that it's been a year that you've been in the house and you have your 3 or 4 people that you're around and you are content and you think you are living your best life because you got your family members right around you. And so you will find yourself in a place where you're like, I'm just fine. Not realizing you really need connection outside of your immediate family. Then you have the person on the other side who, I don't even know if the person on the other side who needs interaction and they know they need it. Like, it's not a surprise to them. They know they need it and they really cannot stand the isolation that's happening. Even being isolated in this, my nose is itching terribly. I think I'm having some sinus issues this morning, you guys. So please forgive me. And so they know they need the interaction and it affects their ability to be productive, which is my son, my 14-year-old, my teenager. This has been a challenging year for him because he really needs physical interaction. So the adjustment has been a challenge for him. So he's coming through it. I'm excited that he gets to go back and interact with his peers more. Whereas a year ago, I'm like, nope, don't want him around anybody. Now I'm excited because I didn't realize that it would be such a challenge for him. Okay. So it's so funny. We got some agreement here. Tanisha said, listen, it's not just you. The east side of Chicago makes me feel like I want to live in a rural area. That is definitely me. And I'm not even on the east side of Chicago, but I get it. Latrenda feels like me. I believe you're talking about that could work in silos. Been a year and you don't even realize why I need to retreat. She says, dang, you gonna read me like that early this rise. I love it. Y'all are so amazing. And so we got to understand that nothing that we've accomplished, nothing, you guys, everything that we've done in connection to somebody else, some type of partnership. Forgive me. I think I'm going to be scratching my nose or rubbing my nose quite a bit, at least for the next few minutes. Hopefully it's not as distracting to you as it is to me. My nose is itching terribly. Okay. He says that it is the community process by which people make money. What businesses make their money in is less important to their success than the principles that get them there. Guys, excuse me, I'm sorry. He said something that was so big just at the very beginning of this chapter. I was like, wow, he really set the tone for the entire thing. And I know I'm at a different place now reading this book because I've really been studying one of these concepts. And I was like, wow, I would have never thought this. And I didn't know this 2 years ago. So I highlighted a section here. It says what we need to know are the specific biblical secrets that made, he uses a person as an example, him so successful, not what his business was or what he did. It says these principles have worked effectively, not just for one person, but for the vast numbers of people across time and space. We also need to know that the principles worked yesterday. This is why we call them permanent, of course, because they transcend time. They will work today and they will work tomorrow. So if you think about somebody, he uses as an example the gentleman who created the company called Oracle, and he created its software for customer relations management. And he says we don't need to go into the same business model he went into. So we don't got to move. Where did he live? We don't have to move to Northern California's Bay Area. We don't have to design some type of software specifically for the customer relation or management of customer relations for companies. We don't have to go into that industry. We don't have to move into that place. We don't have to work in that market. We don't have to create something for that space in order to have success like he has. He said, because it's not about the type of business he's in. It's not about where he lives. It's not even about what he does. It's really about the biblical secrets that he has used. I call them principles that he has used that helped him get where he was. That's what he's saying. So we can look, and this happens all the time. How many times do we look at someone on social media? Like, we're literally in the age of interconnectivity. We're in the age where your phone, it's just amazing to me how transparent our lives are, and how interconnected we all are. And that is why it could be a year and you not realize just how much time you've spent inside because you feel connected because you're speaking to people via the computer. You feel connected because you're looking at people's lives via social media. And so you feel like you are actually connected when we crave connectivity, but we also need to get out of these houses. Okay. And so it's not about what a person does for a living. It's not about how they do it, but we will look at people on social media. We will look, and this is marketing all day long, y'all. I am guilty of it. Looking at, oh my God, they have so much success. I just need to do exactly what they did, how they did it. Let me find all the details. Let me do every detail the way they did the detail, and then I will have the success that they had. Let me tell you something. We can get every single detail correct, but if we don't understand the principles underneath that thing, you won't have the success that they had. I had to learn that. I remember when my mentor said, it's not about the steps, Demita. It's about belief. And I was like, What? That's the last thing we want to hear. That it's not about the steps. Because see, we want the steps. We want the strategy. We don't understand that it's internal. It's not external. Because see, your external will change once your internal changes, right? So what I love is my, what do I call him? We're going to call him my virtual mentor for right now. And he don't even know my name yet, but he don't know he knows me. Bob Proctor, he doesn't know. He knows me, but he doesn't know it yet, but he knows me. I'm just saying, mark my words, he knows me. So he said he had met a woman and they were having some kind of meeting. I don't remember all the details, but she told him, she said success is 95% belief and 5% strategy. And he asked her, what did you say? And she repeated it. It's 95% belief and 5% strategy. And I think I remember him saying, I don't know where you got that from, but that's right. Like, and he said it transformed part of it. It solidified some of the things that he knew, but he started to think of a few things differently. For the overwhelming majority of us, think about that statement. Success is 95%. I see you, Tanisha. She says, yes, he knows you, especially after this coming Saturday. He's awesome. Success is 95% belief, 5% strategy. However, most of us focus on 5% and we negate the 95%. What I'm saying to you is you got to focus on the 95%, the belief part, the 5% will come. Because you could do things all wrong, like totally backwards, especially in the industry, one of the industries that I'm in, network marketing. You could do things totally backwards and you could still have massive success because you got the belief. The belief. 95% belief. 5% strategy. His exact word is 95% mindset. 5% strategy. 5? But we focus on the strategy. We want how-tos. We want the 4 steps for massive success. We want the 5 ways to get everybody to see your product or your service. We want the this, the this, the this. Okay, tell me step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And he says it's not that. In fact, what you guys may not realize is this entire book is not about the 5%. This entire book is about the 95%. You are literally studying the 95%. The mindset, because principles, strategies, he says spiritual success strategies, These are about the underlying principles, or I should say it this way, the principles that underlie our success. It's the principles, it's the foundation. And so what we're studying is the 95%. This year, I am committed to the 95%. That's where all my focus is going, on the 95%. That is what I have been doing since January. This is my year of evolution. I said that at the beginning of the year, and this is what 2021 is for me. 2021, Demita, is evolving mentally, spiritually. It's internal. Because my internal is evolving, guess what's going to happen? My external world is changing as we speak. As we speak, my external world is changing. My husband is still sending. Yesterday, he sent a couple homes. One of them, oh my God, beautiful, $2.2 million. We never looked at $1 million homes before. Our external world is changing because our internal world is changing. And so that 95%, I love it. He literally sets the tone for this entire chapter. Why is this so important that he set this tone? Because see, a lot of us don't want to deal with people. We don't. But if your success is contingent upon your ability to interact with people well, how are you going to be successful? So you got to get the underlying principle, which is that you're not going to be successful without partnering with people in some capacity. If we get that underlying principle, then guess what we can do? Now we can start to build on our actions. But the principle has to be in place first before we can start to do things differently. Now we build on those actions. Y'all feeling me on this? I hope y'all feeling me. I hope you're feeling me. He said, the knowledge we are gaining has been time tested again and again. He feels like, and I think this is so good. He says, every time he studies the Torah, every time he teaches the Torah to his son, he feels his dad. Because once again, this wisdom, it transcends time, it transcends space. So his dad taught it to him. His dad's dad taught it to his father. And now he is teaching it to his son. It is now transcending time. The information is now transcending space. It's multi-generational. In fact, he says he feels like writing this book is his multi-generational symposium. Y'all don't even understand how big that is for my mind. I want you to think about the simple book. Just all my books are just out of reach, y'all. They are literally right there. All the ones that I have planned for this year, we're adding to it, but they're just out of reach. One of those books is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I have read parts of it. I have never read the whole book. Never read the whole book. Napoleon Hill wrote this book back in 20-something, I believe. And do you realize that when he wrote it, he had studied wealthy, prosperous, amazing entrepreneurs for his lifetime, wrote this book, and he, because of the work that he did, he has helped millions of people become 7-figure, 8-figure, 6-figure, 9-figure earners. And he doesn't even know them. He'll never meet them. He's dead and gone. But it, once again, is his multi-generational symposium. When you take the time to write a book, I want my people out here who want to write, I want you to do it. Let me tell you why. There are people you are destined to impact in a beautiful way. I'm looking for my book, but it's not near me. You are destined to impact them in a beautiful way. When you put your words and pen them to paper, allow God to speak through you. Everybody on here who wants to write a book, write the book. Who does God want to talk to through you, but you're keeping all the knowledge up here? You're keeping all your intellectual property right here. You're keeping it all here. You're keeping all the hard work, the head work, everything that you're learning. You're keeping it to yourself, but you're not taking the time to put it together in a book. Who can you be helping generations from now if you just take the time and get it out of here and get it on paper? Multi-generational symposium. That's like the most beautiful. He said, I see myself as one engaging in a multi-generational symposium. I want to speak life into all of you guys that have content that you should be sharing. You should be sharing your content. Yes, it should transcend time. I'm speaking to myself too, because I was supposed to do this, what do you call it? An affirmations recording like 2 years ago. And I still haven't done it. And it's one of the most powerful things that I do, and people need to have access to that. So who are you slowing down in the process of you slowing yourself down? Okay. So it goes from generation to generation. And he says the knowledge we are gaining has been time tested again and again. Now I pass some of this knowledge on to you. It is a testament to the power of the tools presented in this book that I have worked for countless individuals in every age, every place, and every circumstance. So do not worry. These people were and are just like you, and the principles will work for you too, if you allow them. So now consider this, the best moments and greatest accomplishments. Now, if you didn't do this while you were reading this, or let's just say you haven't finished reading this, I want you to think about this for a second. What are the biggest accomplishments that you have made in your life up until this point? Like, think about the best moments, the greatest accomplishments. What have those been? Think about that for a moment. What are your biggest accomplishments? I want you to actually think about it for a moment. Good morning, honey. I want you to think about it for a moment. Your biggest accomplishments, what are they? Now give yourself a moment. What are they? Is it graduating from college? Is that one of them? Is it that first big contract, or the first contract that you received as an entrepreneur? The first customer who actually paid you as an entrepreneur? Like, what was it? Is it the day that you made that decision for your weight loss journey? Or was it the day that you actually stuck to it and you hit your weight loss goal? Was it the day that you ran your first half marathon? You made the decision to do it. You did all the preparation. You actually got it done. Was it the day that, whatever the case may be, I want you to think about what is that biggest moment. Was it the day that you got accepted into grad school? Was it the day that you got accepted for your PhD? Was it, or doctoral studies? Was it the day that your thesis was approved? Was it the day that your doctoral, was it the day it was approved? Was it the day, that your argument for your thesis, your argument for your doctoral research, was it the day that they said, we give you your stamp of approval, it's perfect? When was that time that, if you're in network marketing, was it the day the first customer who said yes to you? Was it the day you started earning residual income? Like, what was that thing or those things that were the greatest moments? Was it the day your child was born? Was it the day you got married? Was it the day you got divorced? Like, what were some of the best moments that you can think of, your greatest accomplishments? Now, here's the question. Have they not always been the product of participation or cooperation with at least one other person? With at least one other person. Of course they have, y'all. Of course, there's not one time that you can think of that didn't include somebody else. And not one time. You know why? Because if it was that day that you made, let's just think about, you made the most beautiful, delectable dinner, and it was just for you. You really, you went all out. You had a candlelight dinner for your own self. And it was like the most beautiful, maybe it's lamb chops. You grilled them perfectly. And maybe you had this beautiful, some type of elegant side dish, some beautiful asparagus and some other type of starch, because y'all know we got to have some starch, right? So something else. And then maybe you also made the most decadent, like, cheesecake with some type of, peach cobbler, apple, something topping, like the most decadent one. You sat down. You literally had the best self-care day you have ever created for yourself. You sat down and you ate it, and it was perfect. And you're like, Demita, I did that myself. You did. But guess what? You didn't own the lamb. Somebody else raised the lamb so you could have the lamb chops, right? Somebody else grew the asparagus. And then by the time, the asparagus were ripe enough, guess what happened? Somebody harvested it. It didn't even have to be the same person who harvested it that grew it. It didn't even have to be the same person who owned the lambs who slaughtered it. Then we get it to the grocery store. Somebody has to get it to the grocery store. There's that logistics process. Once it gets to the grocery store, somebody has to unpack all of this stuff and take it off the truck and get it in the freezers and get it on the shelves. Somebody has to do all that. And then somebody else, and still they got it on the shelves. You get in there, you buy it. Somebody else has to ring you out. Oh, you went through self-checkout. I feel you. I totally understand. Somebody had to fill that bad boy with cash. Yeah, somebody took the time to fill it with money. Oh, and the money that came, guess what happened? There was I forgot what you call them, the armored truck. Oh, they delivered the cash. Yes, they delivered it. Oh, where'd the armored truck get it from? Oh, they got it from the bank. And so there's a bunch of people in a process that happens there at the bank, a process that happens with the armored car carrier, a process that happens at the grocery store, a process that happens before the meat gets to the grocery store at the butcher, a process before it gets to the butcher because there's someone who owns the lamb, a process that happens before the asparagus gets to the table because there's farm to table, but a whole lot happens in between the farm and the table. None of it, even though you had the most beautiful self-care day that anybody could ever have created for themselves by yourself, none of it was done without the assistance of someone else. We are all connected regardless of whether or not we want to be. So if you can understand the principle that underlies this, which is the title of the chapter, everything important, everything joyful you've ever achieved, you guys, it's been in partnership with at least one other person. If we know that to be the case for the past, guess what we know? We know it to be the case for the future. So if you can fall in love with people, now you can have an even more joyous future. Good morning, honey. Good morning. Now you can have an even more joyous future. This is so good. He reminds us that the Bible is not a history book. The Bible is an instructional, yes, I said it correctly, manual. It's so important to understand that because it changes the way that we read it. It changes the way that we understand it. It changes our perspective. And if we look at it as an instructional manual, we will understand that it is a blueprint for how to have success, a blueprint. The Bible instructs us on business and money because these activities are essential to successful living. He says success in business is an end in and of itself. But that aside, how can one support any activity without making a living for yourself? Clearly, you cannot. All creation must include the act of making money or making a living. The Bible, y'all, it is the ultimate guide to creativity. The ultimate guide to creativity. It allows us to ask the question, what is the ultimate creation of which humans are capable? Y'all, the way he leads this thing in is beautiful. Ask yourself that for a second. What is the ultimate creation of which humans are capable? When I was reading this at first, I was like, is this a trick question? I was like, I feel like it's having a baby, but I'm not sure. That's exactly what it is. It's coming together to create another human being. I don't know if people truly understand how miraculous pregnancy and babies are. I want you to think about it and put it in perspective. A lot of the times we look, this is an aside because this is not what he's talking about here, but just think about this for a second. A lot of the times we want what we've seen as biblical miracles, not understanding that we get to witness a modern day miracle every single time a child is conceived. Every time. Think about what has to happen. Do you realize how many sperm must compete to get to an egg to fertilize it? Like, do you even have a clue how many sperm are in there? Like little swimmers are swimming, right? To fertilize one egg. It's almost like it has to be the perfect set of circumstances. And then from that, you have a baby that comes from something that if I took my pen like that and said, doop, you can't even see. That's bigger. That one little, if I poke my pen on paper and I could see the dot, that's way bigger than the egg and sperm. When they meet, when that sperm penetrates the egg's outer shell, when it penetrates it, that is so many times smaller than just the ink spot on a piece of paper. But somehow, that turns into a whole human being. Think about the tiniest babies. And you think that came from, how is that possible? Think about what happens inside of a woman's body. The way that our bodies transform to house a whole human being. When you see a baby for the first time, you're like, how the hell did you fit in there? Or these questions that I just asked. Like nobody else asks these questions. Like these are serious questions that I ask. Like, how did you fit? Not only that, you see your baby. Like I look at pictures, you guys, from the kids when they were so tiny. Oh my God. And now I look at my 14-year-old who is taller than both me and my husband. How did you get from something that was less than the size, like smaller than couldn't see you without, the only way I could see you is with a microscope. How did you get from something that size to over 5'7", 5'8"? How'd you go from boop to now you're 5'8"? You're not even an adult yet. It's like a modern day miracle just to wrap your brain around how the female body transforms to become this home for a developing fetus, a developing baby for all these months. And then how her body knows when it's time for you to come out into the world. And even if there was no modern day medicine, these babies would still be born. It's absolutely incredible that your body can do those things. It's amazing to me that your body knows what to freaking do. So he uses creating a baby as the ultimate guide of what humans are capable of creating. He said, and so if that is the ultimate act of creativity for people, he said that the Bible tells us there are 3 things needed for this ultimate act of creativity. Number 1, it requires at least 2 people. 2, it doesn't matter if you're a woman that says, I don't even want to have a husband, I just want to have a baby. Let's just go to that extreme, because there are women who say, I don't even want to have the husband, I don't need that kind of life, I just want the baby. But what is still required? You still need 2 people, because she has to find sperm from somewhere. So we can all agree that a minimum of 2 people are required, even if one party has no clue who the other party is. 2 people are required. The second thing needed for this ultimate act of creativity is the 2 people have to be different from each other. This is really good. This is really good. And this is where we have to challenge ourselves to understand that having somebody that just like you in your business is actually a detriment. It's really not good. It's really not good at all. You need people who are different, because see, it requires 2 people. No matter how hard you try, you can't have a baby with yourself. You cannot clone yourself and have a baby. You just can't. Okay. You need 2 people, and you need 2 people to be different in order to create a baby. Now, let's think about business, because all of this is related to business. It's a business principle. 1, everything's done in partnership with at least one other person. So you need 2 people. That's number 1. Number 2, those 2 people have to be different than one another. There's no way that in creating a baby, that if I don't have some partner, that I'm going to be able to create a baby. It's impossible. Like it's physically impossible. I need sperm from someplace else. And the reality is, y'all, I don't produce that. So I need somebody else who's different than I am. I cannot produce a baby alone. Now in business, number 2, how does that factor in? You need 2 people that are different than one another. Let me tell you how it factors, because if it is just someone who is just like you, they think like you think, they agree with everything that you do, guess what happens? You're going to find yourself in a jam at some point, because we may have ultimate creativity, but obviously people see things different. You need a different perspective, because whether or not you realize it, guys, we all have blind spots. Why do we have blind spots? Because our perspective limits our experiences, we'll put it that way, limit our perspective. We can only see the world through the lenses of our perspective. I've said this several times, and I don't know if I've said it to you guys before, but some of you have heard this, that if I take these glasses off and I put on a pair of sunglasses with a beautiful gold yellowish tint, well, guess what happens when I put them on? Everything else has a gold yellowish tint. Right? Now, if I take those glasses off and then I put on the next pair of sunglasses that have a brown tint to them, now everything else has a brown colored tint to it. If I take those glasses off, I put on another pair of sunglasses that have a rose gold colored tint, then guess what? Everything has a rose gold colored tint. If I take those off and I put on a pair that has like a bluish, dark blue, blackish tint, everything is really dark indigo blue, blackish. But what hasn't changed? None of my exterior has changed. Nothing. The only thing that changed are the lenses that I'm seeing the world through. Whether they are clear, whether they are gold, yellow, whether they are brown, whether they are navy blue, whether it is black, whether it is rose gold. Nothing externally has changed, but my lens has changed. What we have to understand, people see things from their own perspective. You need a different perspective because we all have a blind spot. You know how when you're in the car, there's that space in between what your mirror, your peripheral mirrors can pick up and what your rear view mirror can pick up. There's that space. And guess what happens? If you don't look over your shoulder, you can miss the car in that space. What I'm telling you is you got blind spots. You have them. We all have blind spots. And they're the places, the things that we cannot see. God created us to work in partnership and in tandem because somebody else's perspective, they can see directly, they're looking directly at the blind spot that you can't see. And so when you have different perspective, guess what? They catch your blind spots. And then guess what else? You catch theirs. And then you got another person. And guess what happens? Somebody else catches their blind spots. But because they see your blind spot from a different perspective from the first person, now you got a couple different ways that you can look at things. And now y'all can come together and create the best possible solution, product, service for the customer you are trying to serve. Y'all see that? That's so huge. It's so huge. We all have blind spots, okay? All right. So that's number 2. People need to be different. Number 3, what is the third thing that this ultimate act of creativity, what does it tell us? What does it show us? What does it tell us we need? 3, creating anything. And he said he's not trying to be crude, but it's true. Creating anything is one of the most exciting and pleasurable things that we can do. We know God put children and sex together because we have a lot of sex without kids if they were not partnered together. His point is that creating is pleasurable. In the business world, creating is pleasurable. You know what I mean? Creating anything. I love it. He says whether it is a novel, a work of art, an invention, or a small business is both fun and rewarding. This creation involves interacting with others in creative pursuits that we find immensely satisfying. You cannot do this by yourself. I want you to think of, Tanisha comes to mind. When she's creating like a new cupcake flavor, she gets so excited, y'all. Like she gets for real excited because creating is exciting. When you have someone who's working on a book, like a true piece of, they're pouring into it, creating is exciting. When you have a person who's developing a service and they know it's a solution to a problem, creating is exciting. Okay. Those are the 3 things that creating tells us. Now, the next thing that he talks about when it comes in relation, this is so funny, and we're almost done. We're wrapping this up. There are several things that, we can dig into in this chapter because it's a lot of good stuff in here, but there are a couple messages that I really don't want to miss. When you have someone like me who's raised in an inner city, like raised in a city, I was actually raised in the city and suburbs. Okay. But let me tell you something, Chicagoland suburbs, you in the city, it's busy. You know what I mean? It's highly populated. When I went to school in this rural town, really country town, Kirksville, Missouri, I fell in love with small town life. Their rush hour was like 10 minutes long because the town's only so big. You know what I mean? That's where that going to school in that really small town, you guys, that's where I found out. It changed me forever. I never go to movies on opening nights anymore, ever. I always go to the movies when there's almost nobody in the theater. Always. Because I went to the movies in this small town and there was almost nobody in the theater. And I was like, oh my God, you can hear the movie. No one's yelling at the screen because I had only done opening nights for the excitement and anticipation and oh my God, right? But here I learned that, you know what? It's nice and quiet when you go to the movies and there aren't a lot of people there. I think I like that. I learned so many things about small town living. So when Tanisha said earlier that, where is it? She said, the east side of Chicago makes me feel like I want to live in a rural area. I understand. You know why I understand? Because that's me. Being able to experience small town life and then coming right back to the massive, crazy rush of the city, I was like, why do we choose to do this? This is crazy. This is not what I want at all. I like small town life. You know what? As long as I could get to Starbucks in 30 minutes, I'm happy. I don't need to live in the city. I just want to be able to have access to the city, but I don't need to live in it like ever again in life, right? One of the things that's really interesting is that that's not how the overwhelming majority of people feel. There is this, and it makes sense that we would feel that way because we were raised in the city. But there are a lot more rural areas in the United States than there are big cities. But what happens is a lot of people understand the convenience and being located and having close proximity to other people. So you have a lot of people that are moving from rural areas, right? They're moving into larger cities because they understand that it serves their most vital interests if they're in larger, more populated cities and if they're in close proximity to other people. Now, this was interesting. He said, while rural living is often synonymous with poverty, I can't say that I knew that, proximity to other people promotes prosperity. And so it's really interesting to see that a lot of people are trying to get out of smaller towns and into bigger cities because they understand that proximity is important, which leads to the biggest point of all. Our true wealth is other people. What if I told you that one of the most important currencies that you have is relationship currency? What if I said the most important currency you have is relationship currency? What do I mean when I say that? I mean that your relationships with people are going to be one of the most important things that you have. Did you guys know that wealthy people have incredible networks? Did you guys realize that? Like incredible large networks. They don't have small networks of people. It is a poverty mindset when people say stuff like no new friends. Poverty mindset. We got to stop listening to the music and taking all the catchy phrases and being like, yes, no, sis, no. I don't live in a no new friends culture. I live in a yes, I welcome new friends. I welcome the right people in my circle culture. The right people in my circle. No negative people in my circle, right? I welcome the right people in my circle. And so relationship currency. Okay. Now, this is what's interesting. I love this part right here. This is so good. We're wrapping this up, but this is the meat. You must start loving other people and giving them the respect they deserve. They are your everything. Love them, respect them, value them. Every single one of them. Ready? No matter how irritating or inconsequential a person may seem, you need them. People collectively are your wealth. This is why our ability to make money depends on how well we connect and communicate with others. Listen, my friends, I remember talking to a young man and asking him, okay, because we're helping him grow his network marketing business. We're helping him grow it. Okay, tell me about this person. Tell me, who do you know that does this? Tell me, who do you know that does this? Tell me, who do you know that does this? We can barely get to 10 people on a list. Barely get to 10. And I remember one of the statements that he made was, I would say my cousin, but we don't really talk anymore because we fell out. And so I just don't have relationships with a lot of people. And you want to know what my thought process, and I believe I even told him, you know what? It really sucks that one incident has now stopped you from being able to create relationships with more people. Guys, I want you to think about this. Why do you not like people? This is so important. I'm not going to get off of this point. Why do you not like people? Why? It drives me insane when people say things like, "Young." This is a thing, especially in culture with Black women. Like, I don't really like other women. What? Where did you get that from? Like, other women, they're always hating. They do this thing. You have really terrible friends, because that's not my life. I don't have women in my life that hate on the success that I'm having, because I'm not hating on their success. Did you ever stop to think that maybe it's you attracting those people? So the reality is this: we need people. What is the situation? I want you to examine and really think about, because I had to do this for me. What is the situation that caused you to feel like you cannot trust people? Because you guys, the challenge is a lot of us have trust issues. Why do you feel like you cannot trust people? Why do you think you can't trust other women? Why do you think everybody is out to steal your idea? Why do you have trust issues? And what was that relationship that caused you to say, you know what, I'm just done with people? Like, you just done with people because of a person? Oh no, it was more than one instance. Okay, so you were done. It was 2 instances. So you just done with people. No, it wasn't 2. Okay, so it was 3 instances. So you've had some instances with like 3 or 4 people that just totally burnt you, grinded your gears, and you're like, I'm done with people. For the rest of your life, done with people? Like, what if you live another 80 years? You just done. You just done. Like, with people forever? So your distrust of a couple of people has caused you to commit for the rest of your life to be done with people. Let me tell you something. You got to work on that. You got to fix it. Why do you have to fix it? Because you will never have a successful business until you fall back in love with people. You cannot be completely juxtaposed to what God loves and juxtaposed to what he says we have to do and feel like you're going to prosper. You can't. How do you have a successful business when you need people to purchase your products and services? How can you focus on what's best for them if you don't really like them? Because let me tell you, I'll give you an example. I've been trying to work on a video for a week. And my creative flow was just blocked. My energy was blocked because I had a frustrating week last week. So I couldn't even get done what I've been trying to get done all week. Like, I was stuck. You know why? Because I was frustrated. Now, how do you think you're going to be able to serve people when you don't even like them? You do realize serve means you focus on what's best for them. If you barely like them, let me tell you what you're doing. This is what we all do. It's not just you. This is us. When we don't like them, we focus on what we can get out of them so we can get paid. But when you change it and you come from a different place, your energy is different. And that means you focus on, I love people. I absolutely love people because I want to love what God loves. And God loves his children. I want to love God's children too. God, teach me to love your children the way you love your children. And so if I can do that, now I know that this is a problem for people. I know this is a problem. How can I help solve this problem for them? That's coming from a different place. And see, when you are focused on solving that problem for them, guess what can happen in the process? You could do really, really well financially because you're so focused on serving them. But you can't serve people you don't like. I don't care how much you try. You can't. Okay? Now, I see some statements, right? Somebody said, I can't trust my in-laws. I feel you. I get that. I understand. That's not my story. Okay? But the reality is distrusting your in-laws cannot stop you from loving on people. If you got an issue with your in-laws, that's with a set of people. That cannot stop you. Now, you didn't say this, but we're using this as an example because whoever shared this, I don't want you to feel like I'm attacking you. I am not. But when you identify that that's where this stems from, then guess what? You got to deal with the issue with your in-laws, but it cannot affect every other person down the line. All right. Someone says, I agree with that. I hate to hear women say they don't deal with women. I think it's the craziest thing ever. I think it's just something to say. I love my friends. I really couldn't imagine not having my girlfriends. Yes, the reality is people don't realize it's a poverty mindset. It sounds like you're so strong, but you don't realize when you say stuff like that, you are so weak. This is good. Tawana says, I refuse to be a stingy lover. Let's go. Tanisha says, that was me starting in 2014 until I started working on that. I want success and I can't be successful if no one is purchasing my product. I love helping people. Absolutely. And that's what we got to understand. You can't have business success in this silo that you absolutely have a disdain for people, but you think they're supposed to buy from you. No, because if you don't like people, this is what really happens. When you don't like them, it shows. Because see, when they have a challenge or they have a product or a challenge with your product or something about your service, they want to give you some feedback, something doesn't work out right. When you don't like them, you don't want to hear none of that. It is what it is. Like, listen, this is the way my product works. This is the policy. Nope, you can't get a refund. No, you can't get this. What? Like, what are you doing? It reminds me of when I share with you guys that, I didn't share that with you if you didn't do the 21-day financial fast. There was a service that I completely forgot to cancel, y'all. Completely forgot to cancel. Some of you guys have heard this. And I was supposed to cancel it back in December of 2020. That's when I was supposed to cancel it. And I thought I did, but January rolls around. This doggone thing comes out of my account. I'm like, oh my God, I thought I canceled this. Okay, so good. I'm going to take care of it. February rolls around. Oh my God, I thought I canceled this last month. Oh my God, I still didn't do it. I was like, let me take care of this. March rolls around. Oh my God, it comes out of my account again. Demeter, what are you doing? I thought I canceled this thing. I kid you not. Every single time it popped up, I guess I put all this energy into I thought I canceled it. Never once did I just click on the button and actually cancel the subscription. April comes around. May comes around. Was it April? Nope. April comes around. Not May. April. And I finally canceled the service. And I canceled it before they charged me. Okay. So I paid for January, February, and March because I should have canceled it in December when I found it. And in April, I was like, Demeter, you didn't cancel this. Take care of it right now. Went in there, canceled it. They ask you questions. They say, hey, they want to know why you cancel. And I let them know, listen, I think this is one of the best services ever. This is incredible. I just don't need it. But let me tell you, if I need this service again, you are the first company that I'm coming back to because this is an incredible service. I even recommend you to people, right? I get an email either the same day or the next day. A lady says from the company, hey, we saw that you canceled your account. I reviewed it and I can see why you canceled because you haven't used it at all year. So we're going to refund January, February, and March. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. I respond. I don't think a company has never done that. I'm so grateful because you didn't have to work with a company that has such a high level of integrity and character is everything. I will continue to share you and refer my friends, my coaching friends and family to you. You just gained a customer for life or a referrer for life. Now, if you don't like people, you know what you would have said? She should have canceled it. It's her fault. Cancel. It's canceled now, but at least we got an additional $60 out of her. That's what you do when you don't like people. When you like people, guess what you do? I reviewed your account. I see why you canceled. You haven't used this. We're going to go ahead and refund you for those months because you haven't used it at all. And guess what happens now when you like people? You gain a loyal person like me who's not even using your service, but is telling everybody about your service, even though I'm not using it anymore. And I know for a fact that should I need it again, first company I'm going to, hands down, no question, impeccable service. That is the difference when you love people versus when you don't like them. Because when you don't like them, you're out for you. When you do like them, you're out for them. What can you do to help and serve them? You guys, it is so good. All right. He goes into some details on, he talks about bread, he talks about salt, and they're all really good. We don't have time to dig into that because we're already at an hour, and I was committed to not keeping you guys on here a long time today because one time last week, I think we went for an hour and a half. Committed to not doing that today. What I want you to remember is this, okay? Creativity. Okay, so he talks about, when he talks about bread and salt, he goes into some bit about creativity. So make sure you read this chapter. But he says, remember that the creativity, this wealth, it is only possible when two join together. Collaboration requires at least two people working together, at least two people who are not identical. And while it brings about joy and gratification, that third sometimes can cause or can require the deferment of gratification. I'm going to read this because this is so important, and then we're going to close out, y'all. He says, if you understood that creativity requires you to join with others, it should be obvious that people are the key to your success. You guys, you got to get this part. Like, this is so big right now. What this is about, this is not about that 5% strategy. This is about the 95% mindset. You got to get the mindset that your success is dependent upon you serving people properly. Your creativity will be shunted when you really are not focused on how you can help people and serve them best. And you cannot do it in silos. You must do it in collaboration with others. Remember those 3 C's. People are either a connection, they're a collaboration, they're a customer, or a client. The majority of people are not number 3. They are not your customer or client. But if we understand that every person we interact with has value, guess what we will seek to do? We will seek to expand our network. We will seek to connect with more people, because when we connect with more people, guess what happens? Then we have more people to connect with others. Then we have more people within which we can collaborate. And you never know what relationship God is going to use to propel your business, that idea, that vision you have forward. So one more time, if you understand that creativity requires you to join with others, it should be obvious that other people are the key to your success. You must begin to look at them with love. You must. You can express that love by looking for ways to serve and do favors and treat others with respect and love. This can be as simple as smiling and silently admitting your love for others to yourself. Okay. He says, for example, try this before job interviews, phone conversations, business meeting, or any other interaction with human beings. Put a smile on your face. Tell yourself that you really love this other person. Realize that were you in their shoes, you may be less gracious than they are. You must show authentic warmth to others, even if they do not visibly reciprocate. Force yourself to do this if need be. Over time, it will become natural and feel and be genuine. Over time, your words and actions penetrate your soul, and your soul believes and adopts them. Faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Why by hearing? You got to hear yourself. You say it over and over and you hear yourself. And guess what that happens? You recognize your voice, and in your head, that thing starts to penetrate you. That's what he literally just said. Okay. Don't be discouraged by negative thoughts that may arise unbidden in your mind. You may feel like you should not say or do things that you do not feel true in your heart. But such thoughts are destructive and violate biblical secrets of ancient Jewish wisdom. Now, let me tell you something that I think is so good. Everything I said in this last section here, he talks about we must love people. Let me tell you something that I'm learning, you guys, and this is not an easy lesson to learn. I'm just going to be transparent with you guys. Love is truly a decision. To love is a decision. I am currently reading a book. I'm working on several areas of my life simultaneously. I am working on business. I'm working on marriage. I'm working on parenting and spirituality all at the same time, because they don't work in silos. One of the things that I'm working on also is my marriage. I want to have an incredible, great, passionate, intimate, amazing marriage to my best friend. Does your partner have to be your best friend? They don't have to be, but guess what? That's what I want in my life. And so I'm reading a book called The Love Dare. For those of you that have never read it, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It's challenging. Okay. What it is teaching me is that love is a choice. It is a decision. It is not what my heart feels. The Bible tells us in Jeremiah 17:10 that the heart is deceitful. Jeremiah 17:10, it says the heart is deceitful above all things and is desperately sick. It's deceitful above all things. And so in frustration, you can feel like, I don't want to do this anymore. In frustration, you can feel like, I don't have to do this. Like, I don't have to. However, your heart is deceitful. And so to love is a decision. It's a decision. You decide to do things because, see, the way that God defined love is so different than what you've learned. It's so different than what I've learned. It's different than what we've been taught. If we go by the biblical definition of love, it's greater than all things. God loves us in a way that a lot of us could never even truly understand and fathom. We don't understand love the way he defines love. We understand love from a human perspective, but not from a spiritual perspective. And so it's really important to remember this. Proverbs 16:25. There is a way that seemeth right to man, but in the end thereof are the ways of death. So there are ways that seem right to us, but it only leads to death and destruction because our heart is deceitful and because we are selfish in our own nature. It is a choice. It is a decision to say, I'm going to do this thing the way God says it's supposed to be done. It's a decision to say, God, change my heart. It's a decision to say, I want to love people the way you love people, because guess what I can do? I could be like, to hell with all of this, and I could go live my beautiful life on some nice rural farm, get what I need from people, use what I need from them, and just live on my beautiful farm, taking care of my one little family of 5, and be perfectly happy. Go into town when I feel like it, and guess what? Come right back home to the peace and solitude of living at home. Grow my own vegetables, grow my own fruit, have my own animals, whatever it is that I want to have. But love is a choice. And when we choose that, we understand that our success depends upon our relationship currency, our proximity to people. And if we can open up our heart and ask God to show us how to love people the way he loves people, that is the beginning of the transition of your business. It's the beginning. So what we are talking about, y'all, is principle, not strategy. We're discussing principles. So you have to change the way you think so you can see your external world change as well. Okay? Good stuff. All right. Yeah, Eugenia, yeah. She said agree completely. Realizing that loving was a choice made me evaluate my marriage differently and for the better. Absolutely, but that is not an easy thing to do. I'm so not surprised Tasha is familiar with this book. I'm not surprised. So, you guys, that is all for today. Tomorrow we are digging into secret number 7, which is focus on other people's needs and desires, and you will never ever be short of what you yourself desire and need. That is page 44, and that one's about 8 pages or so. So I'll see y'all tomorrow morning. I appreciate you so much for hanging out with me. Hello to everybody in the Christian Women's Business Academy. Y'all hanging out with us from 21-Day Financial Fast with T. McGee, and definitely YouTube. However you stumbled upon this video, be a blessing. If there's somebody that you know who can actually use this information, just share it with them. Our goal, we're going to help some people, y'all. Year of overflow, year of evolution. Let's evolve together. Have an amazing, magnificent Monday. I will see y'all tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. Bye-bye.